Some of our most impactful plays go far beyond the court or field. This is the Net to Net live show.
It's more than just a game.
Welcome back to Season 3, Episode 3 of the From Net to Net podcast. Today, to start off with just me, my co-host will be joining me a bit later. He's running a bit late. But to start off, it's going to be me talking about soccer. Who doesn't love soccer? I love the Prem. I love Man U. Everyone who knows me knows how much I love Man U. But today's not about Man U. Today's about the underdogs. Today's about those teams who are in positions where they should not be. Or positions that no one expected them to be in. I'm talking about Sunderland and Bournemouth especially. At the beginning of the season, I made a prediction that I thought Sunderland could finish in a European spot. I did say Conference League. And the more the weeks progress, the more that's looking like a possibility. I mean, this would be like insane. An insane achievement for Sunderland, who came up. Everyone thought they're going to go straight back down. I think right now it's pretty much guaranteed that they will not be going down. Obviously, it's still early in the season. This third place spot that they're in right now in the Premier League is not sustainable. But if they can actually manage to get a Conference League position, this will be huge for the club. Over the weekend, they managed to beat world champions. World champions of what? The world champions Chelsea. And I mean, that's a great achievement for a newly promoted club. And the manner in which they beat them was great to see. First of all, as a Man U fan, it was beautiful to see this Garnacho goal result in nothing, result in a loss. I hope he cries more. Hate that prick. He was supposed to be so good for us, but I'm not going to get into nostalgia over Garnacho. And then for the Sunderland goal, the second goal, it's just terrible defending from Chelsea. This is like elementary school stuff. How do you spend so much money on a squad and you're still dog shit? I don't understand. I don't understand how this team can be this bad. Every lineup they put out, I am not impressed by any of the players. I mean, Cole Palmer being injured is not helpful, but the lineups just look so mid, and you've spent so much money on this team. So much money, and I look at this lineup, I look at these players, I'm sorry, I don't think I can call any of them world class. Yeah. I really can't. It's terrible to see. Maybe Cole Palmer, but he's injured, so he doesn't even count for the season yet. But the defending for the goal, Brian Brobby holding up the ball in the last minute, back to the goal. He's going nowhere. Just press him. He holds the ball for like 7-8 seconds while Tosin Adrabey and Chalba just stand there. Just fully just stand there. Passes it off, and Sunderland get the winner. And just like that, Chelsea lose. To have that much of a lack of defensive awareness in the final minutes of a Premier League match cannot happen. You can't be starting Chalba, a player, first of all, who you didn't even want, who you loaned out to Crystal Palace last season, and then you forcibly brought him back, and now he's playing for you. This is not a player you wanted. Tosin Adrabey, I don't know where he came from. He's pretty dog shit as well. Your big money signing, Fofana, has basically never played for the club at this point. Chelsea are a mess. Chelsea are a mess. They've spent so much money and gotten nothing from it. But enough about Chelsea. Let me talk about Sunderland, because Sunderland have honestly surpassed everyone's expectations. And I think a big part of it is their signings, obviously. It's a completely new squad. We're seeing so many players with so much pedigree come into this squad and perform really well for them. Let me just read off a couple of the transfers for you, because obviously we have Granit Xhaka, right? He was like the trophy signing. He was the star player they added to the squad, and he has been extremely helpful. But even we see a couple of signings from Ajax, Bertrand Traore and Brian Brobby. Obviously, they haven't torn up the league, but they've been a step up from what Sunderland had in the Championship. They've been Premier League standard, and that's massive when you're a newly promoted club. And then we have the signing of Gertruda from RB Leipzig, a player who most people who follow soccer won't know too much if they don't follow the Eredivisie. But I mean, he's always had some great FIFA cards. And last season, he had 35 appearances for RB Leipzig. a massive club in Germany, comes over and seamlessly fits in. I can't say seamlessly. He did have the first couple of games he wasn't really starting, but since he's come into the squad, he's been great. And Mukiele, I mean, what more can I say about Mukiele? He's a PSG level player. He's been at PSG for years. Last season he spent it at Leverkusen, who are another German powerhouse. This season started amazing, being a rock at the back for Sunderland. Even chipped in with a goal. What more can you ask from a defender? It's honestly been revolutionary. Like, I could go on. They have so many amazing signings. Alderete, he's been a great center back for Sunderland. Masuaku, I mean, you remember him from his time in West Ham, went over to Turkey for a bit, and he's come back and he still looks Premier League quality. Premier League quality for a lower league side, and which is what Sunderland aim to be. But right now they're all overperforming, so it's great to see. There's just so much I could go on and on about. Like Noah Siddiqui, Talbi, Reinildo, Adingra, Granit Xhaka, as I mentioned. But most of all, I think Robin Ruffs, I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce his name, but he has just been one of the best goalkeepers in the league. I mean, signed from a pretty obscure Dutch club, comes to the Prem, and some of the saves he's made is honestly astonishing. Like, I don't think anyone expected this level of overperformance from a goalkeeper, this level of excellence coming straight into the league. It's been great to see. I'm really happy for Sunderland. I hope they continue on. Their next game is against Everton, and even that's a really winnable game. So, seeing Sunderland in this position could be sustainable for a few weeks longer. But we'll see. Now, Sunderland being in fourth is amazing. But what's even more amazing is Bournemouth being in second. Second place in the actual Premier League. Can you believe that? Let's go back in the history of Bournemouth for a bit, because Bournemouth historically have always been one of my favorite clubs. Even when they were under Eddie Howe, they had such an exciting team in my eyes. They had Callum Wilson, Ryan Fraser, Nathan Ake at the back. I remember how high I was on Nathan Ake. He was one of my favorite players in Bournemouth. I really wanted to get a Bournemouth Nathan Ake jersey for a while. I still might, because why not, right? Yeah, I might as well. Jefferson Lerma had some great seasons for them in the midfield. Just overall, it was a good team. And then they went down, and then etc. Came back up. And under Andone Iraola, they've been even better than they were under Eddie Howe. And I did not think that was possible, because Eddie Howe overperformed with them. And Iraola has overperformed the overperformance somehow. Like, this team, and especially Antoine Semenyo, oh my god. I love watching this team. I am interested to see how they function without Semenyo when Semenyo leaves for AFCON. But they shouldn't have too many problems. They have Clivert still. They're going to have Krupi, who just a bolt out of the blue. Like, people who follow the French second division, I guess, would know about him. But I don't think anyone follows the French second division. I'm sorry, realistically. And obviously this was, a bit of a shady transfer, because both the clubs, Lorient and Bournemouth, are owned by they have the same owners. So that's how the transfer happened. That's why they could sign it without much interference from other teams. I think a lot of people knew he was a great talent. He had something like 22 goals in 35 games for Lorient last season. But yeah, shout out to Krupi for giving Bournemouth fans yet another thing to put their hopes on. Because one would really think that they would have a downfall, right? I mean, last season, they sold their entire defense, basically. Their goalkeeper left. Their center backs left. Like, when you really break it down, players who were in Bournemouth's squad last season are now at PSG, Real Madrid, Liverpool. I mean, they had a $73 million transfer to Brentford. How are Bournemouth producing these players? How is this sustainable? That is a question that we have to ask. How long until the sales catch up with them and they end up in a relegation battle again? Because we've seen this before. We have seen this with Southampton. Southampton for a very long time were stable in the league, pushing for European spots, while still selling their best players. And then they were finding new ones. But eventually we saw that catch up with them and they got relegated. And I'm not talking about last season's relegation, the one before that. Players like Luke Shaw were sold. Adam Lallana were sold. Sadio Mane were sold. Virgil van Dijk were sold. And that's just like the first four off the top of my head. I'm sure there were so many more. Oxlade-Chamberlain, if I'm not mistaken. It is really hard to change your reputation, right? Once your reputation is that of a feeder club, of a stepping stone club, it's so difficult to try to establish yourself as a contending club. And I think that's what Bournemouth have to do. I understand they do not have the infrastructure for that at all. The fan base is small, the stadium is small, but the players are great. The coaching is amazing. And eventually, we all know what's going to happen. Semenyo is going to get sold. Andoni Iraola is going to go to a different club. And Bournemouth are going to be back in a, low table position, maybe battling relegation. Unfortunately, that's the truth. I just wish there was more infrastructure in place to allow these smaller clubs to establish themselves in a higher, more contending position more consistently. We're back. My co-host is now with me. We had a great soccer segment, and now we're going to get on to basketball. Hey, Monte, how you doing?
I'm doing good. The TTC was really, really bad today. It was not cooperating with me, but I'm so excited for this episode. The NBA season is officially underway. I'm so hyped for this episode.
We've had 1 week of games, and we are a reactionary podcast. Let's react to the first week of games. We're going to be giving our overreaction to basically each team, or as many overreactions as we have to all the games that happened. We had some insane games happen this week. It was, I don't know if you saw, but it was like a record-breaking start. At this point in the season, we already had 16 40-point games or more.
That's insane.
That's the most at this rate. And, we can get right into it. You said the TTC's on Fraud Watch. Who else is on Fraud Watch in your eyes?
I do want to say this, just one point before I talk about that. The level of scoring volume that's happening in the NBA recently, I'm now concerned if it's the defense is just genuinely gone from the league or if the offense is at an all-time high, because it's now somehow regular that teams are going into double overtime games, single overtime games. People are dropping 40, which is the new 30. This modern era of the NBA is insane. I don't know if it's because of the gambling scandal that's been going on and they actually realized, oh my God, if they see that we're about to take our unders, we're cooked. Everyone's going crazy. But speaking of Fraud Watch, my number one overreaction is that OKC, last year's defending champions, the OKC Thunder, are on Fraud Watch. I'm not moved. Last year, I was moved because they were blowing out their opponents by a minimum of 10 per game. They had the highest scoring margin out of the games. But this year, they are just not convincing me that much. I feel like they're getting a whistle that's significantly unfair compared to their opponents, like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander specifically. And they're in close games. Their offense does not look as good as it was last year. I know they're not usually a three-point shooting team, but this year it's significantly concerning. And even though their record is great, it's just not convincing to me. And I think Shai is getting a lot of overrated hype this year.
Depends on what you determine as fraud. Are they a contender? I think yes. I think they're still a contender.
For sure.
But will they be winning the chip? No. I don't back them to repeat. Last episode already, I emphasized that I'm not a big fan of J-Dub. And to be fair, the first game they didn't have J-Dub. They don't have J-Dub. And, his loss is being seen in these games. But I think the shooting's a big thing because last season somehow they won the chip while being a negative shooting team. When it comes to threes, they just don't have the 3-point volume or efficiency that you need in this league. But somehow they're making it work against the Rockets. What's also not convincing is not being able to close out games, going to 4 overtimes in their first 2 games. That's insanity.
Yeah.
Who's ever seen that happen? But they are a deep team. They still are a deep team. They have so many promising players. They have rookies who are performing well. They have sophomores who are performing great. And obviously they have Shea, who's going to put up points. And the one thing he does, he's going to put up points. He's going to put up assists. So I think I don't know. I just want to know what you determine as a fraud.
Okay. Fraud might be a little bit of a crazy term, but like last year, I feel with them in the Western Conference, you were like, wow, this is the team to beat for sure, not just in the West, but the entire NBA. No one questioned that. It was because they were dominating teams by such a high scoring margin. They were forcing a lot of turnovers and, winning those types of margins. This year, I feel like so much had to go wrong for their opponents that it allowed them to win games and like squeak by just barely. With the Rockets game, I mean, it was their first game with a whole new team. They were making a lot of rookie mistakes with, Amen Thompson and Reed Shepherd coming in with that heavy playmaking role, too many turnovers. With the Pacers, the fact that they had to go to double overtime with a Pacers team that didn't have Tyrese Halliburton, slightly concerning. The Hawks, that's another thing that we're going to talk about probably later in the episode, at least on my end. They beat an underwhelming Hawks team, and then it took a really, really bad Cooper Flag game for them to just barely squeak by the Mavericks. I'm not going to say that they're frauds because they are still a contender, but they're way more concerning than last year.
No, I think I agree with that. They have more flaws, and I think just teams are more poised to play them at this point because they're, last year's champions, so teams are going to be more ready. They're going to want to prove, we can beat the champions. So
Fair.
I think that's also something that goes against them. One of my overreactions, and it does hurt me to say this because as much as he has been a rival, I do love this player. I've loved this game. I love his trolling. And my overreaction is Joel Embiid will retire by the end of the season.
Really?
I think he looks terrible, man. I don't think he looks like the player he was. I think his knees are cooked. I think the Sixers are going to realize soon that they need to move on from him. Him and PG is that experiment so far has been a disaster. Last season was terrible. This season, everyone has injury issues. Well, PG and Embiid have injury issues again. But I mean, they have hope because VJ has looked amazing. Tyrese has looked amazing. And I think in line with my overreaction of Embiid being done for is that this is like Maxi's team now. I think it's pretty established, and it should be pretty established in people's mind that this is Tyrese Maxi's team now. And VJ and Maxi are the future, and Embiid and PG are just, what's the word? They are expendable right now.
I really like that take. Just, again, Joel Embiid, I feel like he's gotten a little too much hate as a person. I don't like his antics on the basketball court in recent years with all the flopping and whatnot, but I really do hate to see that it's come to this point with like his knee surgeries. Last year he was battling with something like Bell's palsy with his eye. At this point, he does need to focus on potential retirement, and I actually do agree with that take. I don't know about this season, but he does have to consider it because if you looked in that first Celtics game especially, he could barely get up off the ground. Like, it was painful to watch, and with the way Tyrese Maxey is performing, with the way VJ Edgecombe looks NBA ready as a rookie, you saw what Jared McCain provided last year. You're looking at some legitimate young building blocks that make your older players, like you said, more expendable. Yeah, I'm going to be honest. At this point, they have to look at what possible value they can get for a former MVP. It's not going to be as high as it was 2 years ago, obviously, but you have to look at what type of trade assets you can get back for Embiid especially, because Paul George, I don't know if he has any value.
Yeah, I mean, me saying he's going to retire this season that's just to clip out and get clicks.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be this season either, but I do think like he's done for at least as a star player.
That's actually a really good point that you made about the 76ers because two of my hot takes or overreactions for this season are 76ers takes. Let's focus on someone that you already brought up, and that's VJ Edgecombe. Right now, to me, he is far and away the rookie of the year. And it's surprising because I didn't expect him to be this NBA ready. I don't want to say he was raw coming out of college, but like, his shooting numbers were a little bit lower at Baylor, and I feel like maybe that has to do more with his situation in college. I feel like he didn't have a team where he could get those types of good looks on the perimeter, but obviously with the rise of Tyrese Maxey's playmaking and scoring, and at least you have some presence with Joel Embiid on the court. He looks really, really amazing. He looks super efficient. He's electric driving to the rim. He's dynamic. He can stretch the floor. VJ Edgecombe to me right now is the clear rookie of the year ahead of Cooper Flag. And that sucks because I like Cooper Flag.
Yeah, I mean, the Cooper Flag hype, I mean, his hype was at an all-time high, right? Cooper, I mean, still is. Everyone's hyped for Cooper Flag. And he's playing okay. I think he's not doing terrible. He's playing like how a good rookie should. He's definitely like all rookie team. Definitely gonna be in the running for rookie of the year. But VJ just, that's the thing. Cooper Flag looks like a good rookie. VJ doesn't look like a rookie. He's not getting the rookie treatment in terms of touches, in terms of like ball handling. He's being given like some first option responsibilities, even with Tyrese Maxey there. I mean, it says a lot where in a game where Tyrese Maxey dropped 40, VJ's 32 was a talking point. And he's just, him and Max are just carrying the Sixers team. I mean, Kelly Oubre also popped off last game, but, well, we don't expect that from him on a game-to-game basis. This VJ thing, if it was sustainable, I agree that he's right now the rookie of the year. That was also one of my things, because I think Cooper Flag's gonna have to score more to be in rookie of the year standings, because that's always what voters look at, right? Scoring's like a massive part, whether we like it or not. The voters always look at the scoring and the winning as well, and that's one thing that VJ's doing right now that Cooper Flag isn't. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, with Cooper Flag, I feel like this really isn't his fault, but with the injury of Kyrie Irving on the Mavericks, I feel like he's being asked to take on a significantly higher load on the offense, because not only does he have pressure to score because, oh, you're the number 1 overall pick, you were the guy that Luka got sacrificed for. There's a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and he's being asked to play make, especially. Jason Kidd said he's kind of like that point forward.
He's doing the same thing that he did with Giannis.
Yeah, like a morph point guard type of guy. So not really his fault, but Cooper Flag, I feel like, is being asked to take on way too much this early on in his career. And VJ is just kind of playing in the flow of the offense. You have someone to look off of on Tyrese Maxey, and that's benefiting him a lot. But VJ, I'm also really impressed with his playmaking, because he is averaging 5.5 assists on top of the 25 points he's averaging. So VJ just looks very polished, very complete, and I think he's in a better situation right now to win Rookie of the Year. Maybe this changes by January when Kyrie Irving comes back and there's less pressure on Cooper, but we'll see.
In terms of Cooper, yeah, the point guard thing is a great point. He has way too many responsibilities on him and way too much pressure about being like Luka's replacement. But also that on the defensive end, Cooper's giving it his all. Like VJ's not the defender that Cooper is right now, and I think that too, like giving your 100% on defense and on offense, like it's just not sustainable. So we'll see how Cooper adapts. We'll see how Jason Kidd adapts. But I think it's gonna be a good race for Rookie of the Year at the end of the season. Another take I have that does involve rookies is I think the Hornets could have 2 all-rookie players.
I like that.
And, I mean, that's something that the Hornets usually miss on, right? Like, their drafts are usually terrible. But, I mean, Kalkbrenner is his name? Ryan Kalkbrenner, I think. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name.
Yeah, something along those
their
lines.
center, and obviously Concanipo. They've both looked great in these first few games. I mean, they did go against the Nets, and I think everyone's gonna look great against the Nets this season, because their top 2 players don't defend and
Don't pass.
It's just it's gonna be a rough watch. But I do think that Kalkbrenner is exactly what the Hornets needed. They've been looking for a great center for a very long time. I'm not saying Ryan Kalkbrenner is great right now at all. But I do think he could be that. And Con Knipple just gives them exactly what they need with like steady shooting, just scoring. He does a bit of everything. And I love seeing them, how they fit in this team. I don't think the Hornets will win anything this season. Maybe play in. But I just think it's good to see hopes of the Charlotte Hornets finally hitting on some picks.
Yeah, I'm really, really impressed with Con Knipple. I knew he was really good coming out of Duke in terms of, being a spot-up shooter, moving off the ball. I did like him as a prospect, but I thought that being on that Duke team was making him look a little bit better than he was, but I was completely wrong on that. Maybe that was a preseason overreaction that, Duke was his beneficiary, but right now he's averaging 15 points per game on 58% shooting from three and 55% from the field. Like Con Knipple right now, I think he's a first-team all-rookie type of player, and that's crazy because this class is really, really deep in terms of the production early on. But Con Knipple looks awesome, and like you said, with Kalkbrenner, again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, he looks like a really solid Mark Williams replacement, being physical around the rim, plays the short roll pretty solid, and that gives you flexibility in the future to know that you didn't lose Mark Williams for nothing. So the Hornets are on the right path right now, and LaMelo Ball is probably playing the most efficient basketball of his career. So obviously, I don't think the Hornets are like a legit playoff contender, but they look really good early on.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? I forgot. No, we can move. Oh yeah, I was gonna say with Mark Williams, I kind of keep forgetting that Mark Williams went to the Suns. I don't know why. I guess it's because I haven't watched a single minute of Suns basketball yet this season. I thought Dylan Brooks popped off in that first game, but that's pretty much all I've seen from the Suns. I have not been tuned in, but yeah. Shout out to Kalkbrenner. I'm looking at his stats right now: 9 points, 8 boards. Solid. Almost on like a double watch. Maybe could get there by the end of the season. 7 foot. Hopefully he can be solid for them.
88% from the field too. So that means that they're putting him in a spot where, okay, we have good playmakers on our team. LaMelo, Miles Bridges, if he really is serious. Brandon Miller gives you some gravity. Like, he's taking efficient shots, and I think that's the way that you can earn minutes as a role-playing NBA center. It's just take efficient shots, play hard on defense, and you'll earn your way into the rotation. So shout out Kalkbrenner, like you said.
What's another take you have? What have you seen from this first season that's intrigued you?
This one's going to hurt me because, as some of you may or may not know, I am a huge Boston Celtics fan. But with the way that we've looked through these first 4 games at the time of recording, we look awful. Awful is probably an understatement, but I do want to say this first before I get your take on it. Jaylen Brown said it best in a post-game interview. I think this was like right after the Pelicans game. He said, "We lost 4 All-Stars, and that's going to take time to replace. Obviously, you lost an All-NBA star in Jason Tatum. He's out for the year. You lost Porzingis, one of the best stretch bigs in the league. You lost Drew Holiday, one of the best defenders in the league when he is at his best, and a really solid backup rotation center in Cornette and Horford. Obviously, I don't want to pin it all on that, but I think Jaylen Brown has to play better. Derek White has not looked like the all-star guard that I expected him to be. I mean, his efficiency is probably a career low at this point. Peyton Pritchard does not look like he's ready to take on that starting role, which disappoints me a lot because I gave him that level of hype heading into the season. And we just look awful on offense. I'm not impressed with us, and my overreaction is that we are going to be fighting to even get a play-in seed. I thought we'd at least be a meddling playoff team, but no, it looks like we might not even make the play-in.
I mean, I think it's beneficial for you guys to tank this season because there's some pretty great players coming up into the league in this year's draft. In terms of your players, I think obviously losing 4 All-Stars, big hit. Everyone knew that. I think everyone knew that the Celtics were going to be a lot worse than what they were because you don't lose those players and get better. It just does not happen. But to be like this bad and look this unpromising against some teams, I mean, like you beat the Pelicans, right? The Pelicans are the Pelicans are Pelicans. That pick that they traded away looks worse and worse every day, every game that passes by. But in terms of Celtics, I think a big part of your identity was 3-point shooting, right? You're a team that chucks up a lot of threes, um, and when they're not falling, you're not going to win a lot of games. That has shifted a bit this season, but even in your 3-point shooting percentage, I'm looking at right now, Derek White's shooting 25% from three, Peyton Pritchard's shooting 20% from three, Anthony Simons 36. Jaylen Brown's doing great. Honestly, he's shooting almost 48% from three, but the rest of your shot chuckers, like Derek White shooting 25% on 11 attempts a game.
Yeah.
That's
He's looked awful.
yeah, that's insane. Like every shot just clanking out, but I'm sure they'll fall eventually. Like you're not gonna look this bad for the rest of the season. And once they do start falling, once you guys start gelling and find how you want to play this season, I think you have to decide how you want to play. Because if you figure out you could win games, you have to decide if you want to win games, right? If you want to tank. So I think we'll see more of that once we get further into the season, what the coaching staff thinks about it, what the players think about it. But ultimately, I think this is pretty much just a transition year for the Celtics. No one expects much. You'll hopefully get a good player. Tatum will come back next season, and you'll be contenders again.
I'm really happy that you mentioned Tatum's name because I want to look in the camera when I say this. Jason Tatum better get the respect that he deserves after he comes back next season because holy shit, like people, if they didn't realize it before, they better realize it now. He was carrying a huge load on offense for the Celtics and defense. He absolutely deserves the respect that he has been missing for basically his entire career. People say Brown was always the better player. Oh, he was being carried by a super team. Oh, this. No. The amount of gravity that guy brings to the table as a 30-point per game almost scorer, the amount of assists and playmaking gravity he brings, the effort that he brings on the glass, like these are just things that you can't teach in such a well-rounded player, and that's all I want. I want him to get the respect that he deserves because this offense looks miserable without him. I will donate my Achilles to him. That's how bad it's gotten.
What if he comes back and the Celtics look worse?
That just won't happen. How can you get worse than this? We got Josh Minot, who actually has not been that bad, but we got him, Luka Garza, and Hugo Gonzalez competing for minutes. It cannot get worse than this, bro. I promise you.
You're just spoiled last season. You had
I
Drew
was.
Holiday, Porzingis, Jaylen Brown, stacked ass team. But I'm happy to see this downfall. Honestly,
It's a 1-year downfall. Let's chill out for a bit.
1 year downfall. A team who's off to a 3-0 start, if I'm not mistaken, the
Yes.
Bulls.
Yes.
When we did our Eastern Conference predictions, we did previews, we did predictions, we did All-Star predictions, and not one of us even thought about the Bulls.
Not even.
But
in
my
mind.
overreaction is that the Bulls will have an All-Star this season. Definitely not a starter, but I can definitely see either Modest or Josh Giddey getting in there. Maybe especially Josh Giddey if they keep winning, and because Josh Giddey is always going to fill up the stat sheet. He's going to have the rebounds, he's going to have the assists, he's going to have the points, and if he's also going to have the wins, like you can't take away anything from him. The Bulls haven't played the best teams, to be fair, but they've Vucevic has looked amazing. And that's great for the Bulls. You would hope that's great for the Bulls because you would hope they'd get his trade value up and trade him. But knowing this regime, they'll be like, oh no, he's going to help us contend. Give him an extension. So let's hope they don't do that. But I don't know. I don't think Vooch would be the all-star if they did get one, despite him putting up great stats right now. I think just Josh Giddey being the main facilitator and being more of a ball handler would get that nod. And I don't know, I'm excited to see a Bulls all-star again. It's been a while.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing about this Bulls regime is I don't think they are going to capitalize on any trade value for an asset that's going to actually help them contend. But the Bulls this season, I'm mightily impressed with Billy Donovan as a coach. He's coached them really well in some of these close games, especially that Hawks game that they just had. But one thing I want to give a big nod to, and the biggest reason I think the Bulls' success is their depth. I mean, they have over, I think, about six guys that are averaging double-digit points per game. Their bench looks really solid, and they're holding their own. A huge guy that I want to give a shout out to that you didn't mention, but he is gonna fly under the radar is Trey Jones. He came to the Bulls over in that trade with the whole, Kings and Spurs, and they were the third team. Trey Jones looks awesome. He's averaging. Let me pull up his stats right now.
He's averaging 13 points a game.
Yeah, and 8 assists.
8 assists, yeah.
8 assists per game for a guy that people didn't even look towards in that Kings Spurs trade. He looks like an awesome facilitator in that second unit next to Josh Giddey. I think he's playing probably one of the best defense in the entire league. He's averaging 3 steals per game. So big shout out to Trey Jones. Big shout out to that Bulls second unit that's keeping them afloat. And it's a testament to their depth and coaching this year that I think is helping them over-exceed, in my opinion, because, like you said, we didn't really have them in our mind during our Eastern Conference preview. So shout out Bulls.
Vooch, by the way, he has a double-double right now, 20 and 10, exactly. Sorry, 20 and 13. And 100% from the free throw line. So
Holy shit.
Shout out to Vooch, main. 6 people averaging double digits, but you know who's not averaging double digits? Their number 4 overall pick. Fucking Patrick Williams, bro. Like, this guy's just...
Bro, you can't even trade him. That's the crazy part. Like, usually you think, like $20 million a year is a steal in, the modern NBA with the whole new TV
he's not
deal.
doing anything. Nothing.
He's
just
a
there,
bum, man.
He's just there, bro. He's just there soaking up 20 minutes a game.
20
20
minutes,
minutes, though.
Oh, my God.
But we'll give those minutes to Julian Phillips, bro. Like, just anything. But let's move on to another number 4 overall pick. Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barney. As the Raptors. And I don't know. The Raptors this season are confusing because we have looked bad on offense at points, at a lot of points. We looked bad last night against the Spurs. That was, I think, our worst game so far. But the other games have been very close. We had a great start to the season, win against the Hawks, who at the beginning of the season we thought, this is a great win against a good team, but even the Hawks have looked... The Hawks' defense might not be what we thought it was. I saw things when they lost to the Bulls last night. People were talking, did Dyson Daniels rob us? Like was it all a scam? Was it a one-season wonder? Like people are starting to lose hope in him because he has to figure things out offensively. Like, he has not looked good on offense. But back to Raptors, they got that win against the Hawks, and we thought, good win. But then after that, it's been downhill, kind of. Well, it has been downhill. Scotty Barnes has looked good. We have 3 players averaging 20 right now, which you would think with that production we would have more wins. But we're 1-3 on the season. And I think a big part that's an issue in this team is Emmanuel Quickly and his contract. I think this is shaping up to be maybe one of the worst contracts in the league. He's on so much money for such a long-term deal, and he just doesn't look that good. He's averaging 15 points right now, but it's not all about the stats. His decision-making sometimes as a point guard is really bad. He's pretty much single-handedly lost us that game against the... Which game was it? I think our second game that we played against the... Whoever it was. But he made some terrible turnover in the last few minutes against Milwaukee. Yeah, against Milwaukee when we couldn't stop Giannis. And he's just tanking this team. Our center play as well. I mean, Mamu has looked great. Mamu's looked really good off the bench, and something we did not expect. And I would not be mad if we gave him started minutes instead of Pirtle, because Pirtle also has not been producing how he should. And I know you don't have too many opinions about the Raptors, but what do you think about their start so far? We are a great defensive team. I'll give us that.
Yeah. The defense is not the issue, like you said. It's more so the offensive efficiency. And just like most teams in the league, it starts from your playmakers, your point guard, your shooting guard, whoever handles the ball more. Emmanuel Quickly, the decision-making, I think, goes beyond just the turnovers. Obviously, that's a big thing, but it's his efficiency that's really concerning. I'm reading his stats right now. 41% from the field and 18% from 3. From a guy that's, expected to be a spark as a scorer. I'm not expecting him to be like a 25 point per game scorer, but back in New York, that was his thing. He was a spark plug. He would hit a couple big shots, and usually that drives the efficiency of the team. That's why the Raptors traded for him. That's why the Raptors believed in him with that commitment and the money. But it's looking like an awful contract. He's not playing efficient. He's getting way too many turnovers in key moments. Emmanuel quickly, I don't want to say that he's like a long gone asset, but like maybe you start to look towards, moving a Scotty Barnes into a point forward role instead of trusting quickly with the ball so much in the clutch, or, keep feeding Brandon Ingram. I'm really, really happy with Brandon Ingram this year. This year he's averaging 20 points per game, and he's doing it pretty efficiently too. I'm looking at his numbers right now. 50% from the field, and his 3-point percentage could be better, but he's a 3-level scorer. He can contribute in all those ways. Brandon Ingram's contract looks solid. Quickly looks awful, and I think Scotty Barnes really has to take that next step as a borderline all-NBA player to demand the ball more, be more of a point forward, and I think the Raptors are still a solid team.
They are a solid team. I think maybe we talked about quickly being a spark plug in New York. Maybe we look towards that again and bring him off the bench. I guess that would make like maybe Jamal Shed be a starter, or move Scotty to the point guard, start the rookie, or start Grady Dick. But whatever we choose, I think quickly off the bench could be something we look for as the season progresses. I mean, it's hard to justify bringing a contract that big off the bench, but sometimes you just have to do what you have to do.
Yeah. Another overreaction that I have for this year, just hear me out on this right now, okay?
Yeah,
because this might not even be a crazy overreaction with the way the man is performing, but right now, my league leader for the MVP award is Victor Wembanyama. And maybe this part sounds crazy, but I think it's far and away as well. The Spurs are 4-0. They look amazing under new head coach Mitch Johnson. Obviously, they acquired Sean Sweeney, which was also a massive add to their bench. But Victor Wembanyama, how is this guy real? 33 points per game, 12 rebounds per game, and I want you to guess how many blocks he's averaging.
I saw he had like a 9-block game. He had maybe like 6 blocks per game. Yeah?
6 blocks per game. Like, that's the type of stuff that you hear when you're building like a 7-4, 7-5 demigod in 2K. Like, he's a highlight reel machine, don't get me wrong. You saw him hit that crazy, size up, behind the back, step back over the Mavericks, or you saw him do a 360 layup versus the Raptors yesterday. Wembanyama is just not real. I think this guy right now is a top 3 player in the league this season specifically. Obviously, I think he has to perform in the playoffs and the big stages to cement himself there, but Wemby's my MVP right now. I want to know what you think about that, or even just the Spurs in general.
I mean, the Spurs right now, they're off to a 4-0 start, and that can be mainly attributed to Wemby. The Spurs, I think they benefit a lot right now from having someone who actually looks for Wemby, because last season, it took Stephon Castle a while to be like, oh, Wemby's like a demigod. Let me just chuck it up. He'll go get it.
Yeah.
This season, I think they've started on the right path with Dylan Harper, who does do that. He sees Wemby, just throws him the ball anywhere he is, and he'll go up and get it. So I think they've been feeding him a lot more than they were last season. And in terms of Wemby's game, I like that. I really like that last night. He got the win. He was dominant. He had 24 points without shooting any threes, because obviously threes is a great part of his game. But I feel like last season, a lot of the times he was just chucking them, and he was trying to get his points that way.
Yeah.
This season is being more physical. He's more in the paint. He's dunking all over people. He's like spin moves, as you said. So it's just really good to see him. Like, the three is great to have, of course, as a backup, as another option. But I love that that's not his go-to right now, because I feel like in some games last season that was his go-to. He's just like chucking threes. Bro, just get your ass in the paint. You're like 7'7"
Yeah.
or something. But no, I do think he's the best player in the league right now. Like, the way he's playing, I don't think there's anyone else who can rival him. We can have conversation about Luka, who had some great games. Jokic is always going to be there. Um, but Wemby's just different level right now. And I can admit I've always been like a Wemby doubter. I've been like, okay, there's hype around this kid, but like, how good can he be? How good can he be? This good, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy to see.
And with the Spurs, I do want to say this because you brought up an amazing point with their guards who last season, bro, there was times where they were running Jeremy Sochan at point guard and I don't know what the fuck he was doing with the ball. And, Stephon Castle, it took him a while to kind of gel with Wemby and, obviously with the De'Aaron Fox trade, there was some meshing there, but they're all looking towards Wemby right now, and there was a really cool moment in that first game against the Mavericks where, Dylan Harper, missed him on a pass, and Wemby was pointing to him like this, like he had his finger up going like this, just being like, get me the ball, throw it as high as you can, and I'll get it. So I think the fact that he's building that trust with his guards is just showing that he's also taking a leadership role on the team, and I'm really, really happy with Stephon Castle finally being the point guard of the team. Because last year, he was playing a lot of two guard, and that wasn't really his play style at UConn. He had the ball in his hands a lot in college. He was the main facilitator. So I think with De'Aaron Fox being out, that's kind of allowed Stephon Castle to take a massive leap here. He's averaging 18 points per game this season, 5 assists. Like, that is the Stephon Castle that was known in college. And he's balling. Dylan Harper is definitely a contender for Rookie of the Year right now. He's averaging 15 points per game as well. He's averaging 5 assists as well. So you kind of see the consistency amongst their guards, and that's helping Wemby a lot. So I think I said the Spurs were going to be like a 6 seed heading into the West this year. Maybe it's an overreaction, maybe it's not, but they're looking like they could possibly be a top 3 seed cemented.
What if they go on a run like the Cavs last season? Remember the Cavs won 26 games in a row
Yeah.
at the beginning? Like they didn't lose. That'd be insane if Wemby goes on like a crazy run like that.
If they do that, he's going to win the MVP.
Yeah, no
clearly.
doubt. As much as it's sad to say, but one of my other reactions is that the Pistons were a one-season wonder last season. I think everything just clicked for them in that one season. And this season, one thing they're really missing, I mean, it's a common theme when we look at bad teams, is Malik Beasley's shooting, shooting in general. Because you look at their three-point percentage throughout their entire roster. The best percentage right now is Isaiah Stewart. And if that's the case, then you're kind of cooked. They brought in Duncan Robinson. He's been putting up threes, but he's not been making them as much. He's shooting 32% on the season. And the rest of their roster has looked... Asar Thompson, 16%. Cade, 26%. Ron Hall and Tobias Harris, 31%. It just... Everyone's percentages are down. And if Cade doesn't have spacing to facilitate with, to play with, to generate the offense, then it's not going to be a successful team. I know they've gotten a couple of wins against your Celtics and against the Rockets. The Rockets too, they're kind of on fraud watch. We thought they'd be a lot better than they are. But we'll get on to the Rockets. But yeah, the Pistons, I don't know. I'm just not convinced. I think they'll maybe be like a play-in team this season, even in like a 9 seed, maybe 8 seed max. But what have you thought about them so far this season?
It was a really good point that you mentioned with Malik Beasley because last year he was easily one of, if not the best bench player last year. But it's because he contributed like a starter. He always took a high volume of threes last year, but he was also making them at like an insane efficiency. Like I'm talking Anthony Edwards level efficiency. So they are sorely missing his spacing because he was playing, like I said, starters minutes last year. And it feels like they're trying to force the issue on the perimeter. Like you said, Cade Cunningham is a superstar. Like I'm not going to deny that, but he's a system. Like if things go wrong with him, it's gonna go wrong with the rest of the team. And he's looked like he's forcing way too many shots this series, averaging 7 attempts per game from 3 and only making almost 2 of them. He's just trying to force too much on the perimeter. He's not getting to that physical finishing that allows him to expand his game more. So I think Cade Cunningham, to his standards, is underperforming. I think Jalen Duren has actually looked really solid this year, so I'm impressed with him. Asar Thompson, as great of a defender as he is, this guy has to figure out his perimeter shooting because that's what's expected from the wings now in the modern NBA. You need to be a 3 and D player, not just one or the other. I think the Detroit Pistons, I don't want to say that they're a one-season wonder because I still think they can be competitive with some of the best teams in the league, but they're definitely not as good as we expected them to be considering their performance last year. And yeah, I just don't see them being as much of a contender as I expected.
I mean, I think when you look at their roster, it's literally just we were expecting Cade to be amazing, and Cade can still be amazing, but it's not like the pieces around him aren't there for they're not there to maximize his potential and maximize his abilities. So I think in terms of roster construction, they have a bit of work to do. Also, do you know who the hell Tolu Smith is? This guy came in last night game, put up 11 points in 5 minutes for the Pistons, and just like in his second ever NBA game. So I was like, who is this guy? But yeah, so who knows? Maybe
Shout out.
maybe he's a good player for them. We'll see.
Yeah.
But it's just random. I just saw him last night. I was like, who is this? But yeah. Anyways,
But I do want to say this too about the Pistons. Malik Beasley is obviously their biggest issue to deal with, but someone that I think is being extremely overlooked, especially, amidst question marks regarding his contract situation, is Jaden Ivey. I think Cade is taking too much pressure, trying to create for others and, having to score for himself. Like I said, Cade Cunningham is the system, but he's being asked to do way too much this year, and they're sorely missing Jaden Ivey's secondary ball handling because, whether he came off the bench or he was the 2 guard, he did take a lot of pressure off of Cade to be like, okay, I can be that 16 points, sometimes 20 point per game scorer that's needed to alleviate some of the offensive pressure, to be a spark plug, to get some crazy finishes near the rim. Like those types of players you really do miss, especially when too much is being put on your star player. So Jaden Ivey, I think he's out for the next month or two. I don't know his injury situation, but I do think he is worth a contract extension at the right price because, like right now, too much is being put on Cade, and you just really can't trust too many of their bigger wings to be creators for them on offense. So, yeah.
yeah. Is there anything else you want to overreact to?
I do want to say this. What is happening with some of the top seeds that we predicted literally just a week ago in the Eastern Conference? I'm so disappointed right now. Again, this could change by midseason. It could be a complete overreaction by the end of the 82 games. But what the fuck is going on with Atlanta and Orlando? I don't get it. Atlanta, I expected them with the lack of talent that they had in recent years and still being a mid-team. I was like, damn, this is the year they're going to be a top 3 seed in the East. Orlando, you acquired Desmond Bane for 4 first-round picks. You expected the next leap for Paulo Banchero and Franz Wagner. I would really hope that they would have been a really competitive top seed in the East. But both those teams are absolutely flunking right now. And for each team, there's a heightened level of concern. But I want to hear your thoughts on maybe one of them or both of them before I give my thoughts specifically.
I think my main concern is with. I mean, no one. You said the Hawks and who?
The Hawks and the Magic. They're underperforming for sure.
I think the Hawks, I'm more concerned with because I think the Magic's defense is going to come around eventually. Like their defense is good enough to get them through games, and eventually their offense starts clicking. I mean, they're never going to be a top offensive team, but I'm just worried about the Hawks because we had their offseason acquisitions of Nikhil Alexander-Walker, who, I don't know, he's looked okay. He hasn't looked great, I'll be honest. But the main issue is it comes down to Trae Young being your best player again. We saw last night he put up 20 points, 21 points, but on terrible efficiency. Like he shot 1 from 10 from 3, I think, something like that. It was just really bad, really, really bad to see. And that's just the kind of nights you're going to get when Trae Young's your best player because he's too short to do anything else but chuck threes. He's a great passer, sure, but it's just really hard to win consistent games with him as your best player, and he's always gonna get hunted on defense. As much effort as he gives, he's always gonna get hounded. I don't know if you saw. Did you see the videos that Pat Bev made?
And he made like a hate watch compilation from. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Holy shit.
It was like he was voiceovering. He was like green screened over like Trae Young's games, like narrating every play. Like, oh, well, why'd you bite there? Oh, like
That's crazy. I need to go check that out after this.
This guy's like D1 hater right now. He's like talking shit from outside of the club. He can't even get into the NBA, but you know, shout out Pat Bev. But we need that in our sport. But yeah, the Hawks just in general, they're off to 3-1 start, and Jalen Johnson looks good. I'll give him that. Jalen Johnson looks like what he thought he would look like, but it just I don't know what's not clicking. I don't know what exactly is not working for the Hawks. Losing to the Bulls, losing to the Raptors, losing to some like what are projected to be some very mid teams.
Okay.
What can you pinpoint as their like major flaw right now?
I don't really think it's like, again, the last few seasons you'll never concern yourself with how many points the Hawks will score, because at the end of the day they're a high volume shooting team that's gonna come easy with Trae Young. But like you said, efficiency is the main pinpoint. When Trae Young is shooting 20% from three on the year, and they are like bad shot chucking in the clutch, especially, you're not gonna win games, because you said this last year in an episode. He's one of the few guys that is the system of their team. If he goes wrong, the team is going to go wrong. So Trae Young, I don't think I've been that impressed with him this year. Obviously, he's still facilitating at one of the highest levels in the league, but man, like, you need more from him scoring and, setting the tone at a much better level on scoring wise. I'm really happy with Porzingis. He's been injured here and there the last few years, but he's looking really good on this Hawks team. Fits really well with Trae Young's playmaking. Nickeil Alexander-Walker has looked awesome. Luke Kennard has looked solid. But, I mean, when Dyson Daniels is underperforming the way he is too, like you said at the start of the episode, that's also a big concern, because he got that bag because of his defensive abilities, but he's getting way too handsy. He's fouling a lot. He's getting blown by a decent amount this year. So those are the two main pinpoints. It's Trae Young's efficiency and the fact that Dyson Daniels actually does look like a one-season wonder right now. And also just they're getting out-coached in the clutch. Like, they stayed competitive through 3 quarters in their last 2 games against OKC and who did they just play? The Bulls. But then they just completely crumble. They have stupid turnovers. They're shot chucking. So those are my 3 main quarrels with the Hawks.
Yeah, Dyson Daniels especially. I mean, he's getting 30 minutes a game, but he's not doing much with those 30 minutes right now. As a shooting guard who can't shoot, it's like rough to see. He's getting his 2 steals. That's one thing he's gonna do. He's just gonna get steals. But I think you need more, especially from him offensively. It's if Dyson Daniels and Trae Young were one player, they'd be great. Trae Young's offense, Dyson Daniels' defensive, one player, but they're not. So it's hard to like manage those minutes. Well, one name I don't think you mentioned. I really liked Okongwu's game this year. I think like he's really stepped up for Clint Capella. He was like his understudy for years. We're like, oh, when is he gonna get his chance to start? When is he gonna start? When is he gonna start? And even now he's on the bench behind Porzingis for some nights, but he's looked good. So individual players have looked good. It's just the team hasn't clicked yet, and I think they're better than their record shows right now. Hopefully they'll get back up there, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. I do want to ask you this one thing though. Yeah. Is there a certain level of concern with Paolo Banchero this season, specifically talking about the Magic? Because at least in my eyes, I think he's underperforming pretty insanely. But I want to know your thoughts on, maybe what's going wrong with the Magic. I know you mentioned their defense being a hallmark in the last few years, and now it's kind of slowed down. But any one thing that you can point to as a player?
I think as a player, it just has to be Paulo, because if your best player is not performing to the level that he should, then your team's not going to be successful. And I think Paulo is just, I mean, he had that one play where he was not hot from three at all, and then he dribbled and took like a
Yeah,
fadeaway three with still like 10 seconds left on the clock for
yeah.
no reason. Just like boneheaded plays like that. There's no reason to take that shot. He like nearly airballed it. The Magic lost that game. There's just some decision making can be better. Some shooting. I mean, we never look at him as like an elite 3-point shooter, but it'll help if he improves there. It just, I don't know. Paulo has to put some things together because he does do this. He has done this before. I think he's very like a patchy player. We've seen in his first couple of seasons because I remember he had some whiles where he was really down. Everyone was down on him, and then he popped off. He performed good in the playoffs last season, but now it's back down again. So he's gonna go through like ebbs and flows, ups and downs, but it's just up to him maintaining a consistent up if the Magic want to be successful this season.
Yeah, like with Paulo Banchero, I I think Kenny Beecham actually said this, and it was a really, really amazing quote that I think is highlighting Paulo's issues this year. I don't know if you saw it, but Kenny Beecham, obviously one of the most respected guys in sport media right now, he basically said Paulo right now is struggling to figure out whether he wants to be LeBron in certain moments or whether he wants to be Carmelo in certain moments. And I think that's a really good quote because it's basically saying Paulo is struggling to decide whether he needs to be like the dominant guy and really establish himself with more efficient shots and, establish himself as the guy, or whether he just wants to shot chuck on like, just to get his stats up, the way Carmelo was doing for the early part of his career. So, there is kind of like a conflict of interest there with Paulo Banchero's play style right now. And I'm not that impressed with Desmond Bane because, for the amount of capital they gave up for him, yes, he's averaging 20 points per game, but one of the big things that he was brought in for was 3-point efficiency, and he is not doing that. He's shooting 6 attempts per game and only making 1.5, so that's about 33%. Desmond Bane has not looked that great. I think their best player right now is Franz Wagner or Jalen Suggs, which does bring concern when Paulo Banchero is making almost $300 million and you traded 4 first-round picks for Desmond Bane. So they've got to figure it out in terms of their offensive system, and also their defense is underperformed. But yeah,
They do need to figure it out, but I think it'll come around. Like I think in terms of shooting, Bane's always going to be a good shooter. It's just a slow start. I do believe in both these teams to figure it out. I don't think they'll be bottom of the East for much longer, especially since the East is projected to be weak. Now with these, I don't know, with the Bulls being 3-0, maybe they're the new East juggernaut, but we'll see.
crazy.
One thing I saw floating around on it, and I want to get your opinion on. What do you think about the take that Aaron Gordon could be an All-Star this year?
I genuinely, that was one of the last things I expected to hear for this episode from your hot takes, but that's a good one. I'm gonna say this: that game against the Warriors where he dropped 50 points on 10 threes, like that is unreal. Aaron Gordon being an All-Star, I feel like the best days that he would have been an All-Star was Orlando when he was like that very clear number one option, and he was a very flashy player that was getting a lot of media attention. But if he continues to expand his game as a 3-level scorer, because that's kind of what's held him back in recent years, I don't hate it. I don't think the forward depth in the West is that crazy. Like, yeah, you have Anthony Davis. Yes, you have Wemby. Yes, you have Jokic. But it gets a lot thinner from there. I genuinely don't hate that take, especially if he continues on good efficiency from 3. He can get some of those flashy plays that gets him the media attention, and the Nuggets continue to be the team that we expect them to be. I think he kind of made his mark getting that big contract this year, but I don't hate it. I
mean, I don't think it'll happen because, yeah, he started off with a 50 bomb. So his games went 50, 17, and then 9. So
Yeah,
he's on. I mean,
consistency.
You're never gonna go up on a 50, but it just in terms of 3-point shooting, yeah, first game he attempted 11. Last night he attempted 2. So I think it'll just be really funny if this entire time we've been like, oh, Jokic doesn't have any All-Stars, and we always projected Jamal Murray to be that second All-Star to finally get his nod, and it ends up being Aaron Gordon. So, yeah, we'll see. I don't have much else. Do you?
I do want to say this, a team that I really do like this year, just to kind of wrap up the episode. Right now, they're impressing me a lot is the Portland Trailblazers, because I feel like they have such a good mix of, youth, but also some solid vets in that locker room that are kind of holding them down, especially in the midst of, all that shit that's happening with Chauncey Billups. They look really, really good under new interim head coach Thiago Splitter. Danny Avdia could be a legitimate all-star this year. I know we talked about the forward depth being thin in the West, but he looks so legit, and he's on one of the best contracts in the NBA. Drew Holiday, it hurts to see him balling out the way he is offensively this year because he was just not doing that for us last year. Donovan Clingan looks like a legit starting center in the NBA, protecting the rim at a high level. Shaedon Sharp could be better, but he's still getting some of those juice plays in. The Blazers just look like a legitimately complete team, and it makes me even more excited for next year when Damian Lillard comes back. Like, I don't want to say that they're this upper echelon title contender, but keep your eyes out for the Portland Trailblazers.
I think one thing that could really make or break their season is how they deal with Jeremy Grant, because he's looking like Pistons Jeremy Grant right now. He's looking really good, and I don't think any of us expected that. It's if they decide to trade him, I think they could trade him at a really high trade value and get something back that could really help them this season. If they don't want to attack, it can really help them win. So I think what they do with Jeremy Grant is it's just going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. Yeah. I think that's all we have for today's episode. I'm really excited to get home, watch some more NBA games. Hopefully the Raptors can win some games. What do you expect? What do you expect the Celtics record to be by next week, this time when we meet up again?
I do have to look ahead on the schedule. I remember I saw some of the games that were on the broadcast, and my prediction actually to start the year was 1-6. And the one team I expected us to beat in this first 7 games was the Pelicans, and we did that. So I forget who some of the other teams were, but yeah.
Up until next week, you have the Cavs, you have the Sixers, you have the Rockets, you have the Jazz.
Yeah, so let me tell you right now, this is going to be a Cavs. We're going to get slaughtered. We're not even going to lose. We're going to get slaughtered by the Cavs.
And the 76ers is a cup game, an NBA cup game.
I feel like with that, they might come out with more urgency, especially because, that's your biggest rival, the 76ers. I still see us taking an L, but it will be more competitive than whatever the fuck we're going to put up against the Cavs. The Rockets, they're kind of hit or miss right now offensively, depending on how many turnovers they get. I feel like we're doing a good job forcing turnovers this year, but I still think that's an L to the Rockets. The Jazz have surprisingly looked really good. Lauri Markkanen just dropped the 50 bomb yesterday. That's crazy, but I think we get a win there. So our record should be around 2-7 by next week.
2-7. The Raptors have the Rockets, the Cavs, the Grizzlies, and the Bucks.
It's almost the same team.
Almost the same. The Rockets, same things. I think Rockets smoke us. I think Cavs is actually going to be a really good game, because I think the Raptors' defense against the Cavs, defensive anchor of Evan Mobley, is going to be interesting to see. They'll probably win that, but Grizzlies, John Morant has revitalized the season. He looks like he's back to being Jaw. He wants to smoke. And the Bucks, this is a rematch. We lost to the Bucks last time. We couldn't stop Giannis. But it was a close game, and I think it'll be another good game. I think Raptors always have good games, so I'm excited to watch.
Yeah, they're very competitive, I will say that. Giannis, that's actually a good point, because if it wasn't for Wemby putting up the ridiculous numbers that he is on both sides of the ball, you could argue Giannis is the MVP right now, because the Bucks are overperforming to what at least I expected them to put out in terms of their offensive product. Giannis right now, if Wemby wasn't doing what he's doing, I'd say he's probably the MVP. Shout out Giannis.
Yeah. Shout out to the NBA. More stuff coming. And yeah, that's all for this week. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you. Bye.
It's more than just a game.